You're sitting there scrolling through a sea of synth workstations, wondering if you're about to drop a few $100s on something that will sit untouched because it doesn't fit your workflow. I get that hesitation. You've probably spent time listening to demo videos, reading a handful of specs, and still feel the nagging doubt, will this really be worth it for me, or am I just buying hype? Before we dive into the nitty-gritty of the Kurzweil K2700, let me say that the link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of setup most people have when they consider a workstation like this. Picture a small home studio in a bedroom or a modest project room in a school music department. You've got a laptop, maybe an audio interface, a couple of monitors, and you need a keyboard that can do more than just play piano patches. You want something that lets you layer sounds, sequence, and even record audio without hauling a rack of extra gear. That's the sweet spot the K2700 tries to hit. It's an 88-key fully weighted keyboard, which means the action feels close to an acoustic piano, a big plus if you're a pianist who doesn't want to sacrifice feel for synth capabilities. One of the biggest practical strengths is the sheer amount of onboard content. With roughly 4.5 gigabytes of factory sounds, you get a massive library ranging from classic electric pianos and organs to strings, brass, and a decent selection of synth leads. In real-world terms, that means you can sit down and start laying down a full arrangement without having to load external sample libraries. For a songwriter who writes on the fly, that immediacy is golden. The additional 3.5 gigabytes of user sample memory lets you import your own recordings, think vocal chops, drum loops, or field recordings, and weave them into a track directly from the keyboard. The integrated USB audio interface is another hidden gem. It's not just a MIDI over USB port, it actually lets you record the K2700's own sound engine straight into your DAW at 24-bit/96 kHz quality. So, if you're working on a laptop with limited I/O, you can plug the keyboard into the computer, hit record, and capture a pristine audio track without needing a separate audio interface. In my own small studio, that cut down the cabling clutter and saved me a few bucks on extra gear. Now, the K2700 also offers a 16-zone multi-controller mode. What that translates to in daily use is the ability to split the keyboard into several independent sections, each with its own sound and parameters, all controllable via knobs and sliders on the front panel. For a live gig, you could have a piano on the lower half, a synth pad on the middle, and a bass on the top, switching between them on the fly without needing to change patches. For a composer, you can assign different zones to different parts of a composition, making the workflow more tactile than clicking through menus on a screen. But no instrument is perfect, and the K2700 has a few practical trade-offs that matter once the box is out of the shipping crate. First, the sound engine, while extensive, leans heavily on the classic Kurzweil tones that were groundbreaking in the 90s. If you're hunting for ultramodern, EDM-style wavetable synths, you might find the onboard synth section a bit dated. You can still import new samples, but building a contemporary electronic palette requires extra work compared to a workstation that ships with the latest wavetable engines. Second, the interface is fairly traditional, there's no color touchscreen, and the LCD is modest in size. That means navigating through deep patch lists can be slower than on newer units that use graphical browsers. For someone who wants to dive straight into sound design with a few taps, the learning curve is a little steeper. However, once you get the hang of the menu system, the depth of control you have over each zone and each sample is impressive. Another consideration is the weight. At over 30 pounds, the K2700 is not a keyboard you'll want to lug around for a quick gig. It's built for a semi-permanent spot in a studio or a rehearsal space where you can set it up once and leave it. If you need a portable synth for traveling gigs, a lighter, 61-key option would serve you better. So, who should actually consider buying the K2700? If you're a pianist turned composer who wants a workstation that respects piano feel while giving you a massive palette of realistic instrument sounds, this is a solid match. It also shines for educators who need a reliable, fully featured keyboard that can demonstrate a range of styles in a classroom without constantly swapping out external modules. Home producers who want to keep their setup simple with keyboard, laptop, headphones will appreciate the built-in audio interface and the ability to record directly. Who should skip it? If you're primarily a synth-centric producer chasing the latest digital textures, or if you need a lightweight stage instrument you can carry in a gig bag, the K2700's weight and older style synth engine may hold you back.